Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Hospitality Room presented by Mascot Media. Bobby Swofford, Blair Cartwright. Before we get started, we do want to say we are thinking of our friends and neighbors in Northwest Arkansas and Central Arkansas who were hit by the tornadoes last week. Man, but resilient folks, and they are getting by.
hmm
But man, that was it was a little scary last weekend.
It has been. The weather's been brutal. With the hail, strong winds, tornadoes this year, and hopefully the severe weather season's behind us. Usually, when we get to June, it starts to slow down a little bit. But again, yeah, we'll say thoughts and prayers with Northwest Arkansas, and it's
Hmm.
one of the few times I'm glad I don't live there right now.
Yeah, I tell you, it was a little unnerving waking up at with the phones going off about 1:30 with the tornado warning in Benton County, and we're so thankful we had enough alert. We weren't hit where I'm at, but enough alert that there was sadly three fatalities, but it could have been much worse in the
hmm
middle of the night. So just crazy. And one more thing on the storm, I want to say we had a tournament in town. A lot of teams were in for Memorial Day weekend. Get this. Sunday there was a head coach that complained the tournament was canceled because of a little tornado.
Some people just don't understand life.
Unbelievable. Yes. And a
So,
team out of Hot Springs launched a GoFundMe to refund their tournament entry fee, and it more than hit the goal. So there are good people out there. Mr. Swafford, how are you today?
doing well. I'm kind of fighting through it a little bit. I've been working too much in the yard, so my eyes are really killing
Oh,
me today. Yard
yeah.
work one, Bobby zero. The Revenge of the Crepe Myrtle. You can call this episode.
Oh, is it back? Is it giving you?
No,
You
well,
went for a
it's
second,
so I'm
a rematch?
yeah. So long story short, because nobody cares about my yard work, but like, so the Crepe Myrtle was in a flower bed
Uh
that
huh.
was pointlessly placed right in the middle of my backyard, and so
Oh,
I'm taking said flower bed out. And so now I'm having to try to level everything off because it was probably 5 or 6 inches taller than the yard,
uh huh.
just because of all the extra dirt. But kudos to the people who built this stupid thing. They put that lava rock underneath the dirt to aerate it so things grow more. And so I'm like having to
Oh,
shovel all the rocks out of it. And now I'm getting below that. And they had some rose bushes in there at one point or another that we've
oh my
taken those out,
gosh.
but I haven't found all the roots and extra veins from all those. So way too much yard work has been put in by this guy who's old, and the back's been killing me, and now the eyes are bothering me.
Oh
But
Lord.
my gosh, I'm putting grass seed down today on top of all that fresh dirt. So I'm hoping, that I can keep it up. I've got to water it, I think, 4 times a day for the next week.
Oh wow.
It's so I may have to hire a yard waterer when I'm on vacation. It's gonna be a really interesting thing.
Yard water. There's a
Yeah,
career right there, just waiting for
yeah.
somebody.
I'll come over and water your yard with a hose, not necessarily
Yes.
because of my output.
Awesome. Wow. So you and the crepe I mean, this is going to be a trilogy, isn't it?
It very well could be, yeah. And because I don't know that I ever told you that there was two crepe myrtles in my backyard, and I chainsaw
Oh,
both of them.
okay.
But
I knew
there's
there was
one that's
one.
in because I have a multi-tiered. I've got a retaining wall in my backyard, and there's another one that's closer to the fence that I haven't touched yet. All it is well, it used to
Oh,
be a stump, so I cut it down to the same height as the other one, but now like all this the bush part of it's growing back, so it's completely
oh,
green again. I just don't know if I'm going to actually effort myself to dig that one out. I
oh.
may just let it be.
You've angered the crepe myrtle gods.
Have 100%.
And they are going to wreak havoc on
Yeah.
you. All right, let's get right to our, if I can find my button, our headlines. Well, the postseason has arrived. Here we go. The Razorbacks baseball team limping into this Fayetteville Regional. Brady Tigert, Cooper Dossett are out. So there's two pitchers. That was Arkansas's strength. You sent me an interesting graphic. I looked at that last night. Arkansas is the worst hitting team in the NCAA tournament.
How about that?
Yikes. And now you're
Yeah.
down two pitchers. And I don't know that anybody in this regional can go 3-0. Not that it can happen, but oh, good lord! If it goes to Monday, it's obviously all hands on deck, but it's a
hmm
crapshoot.
It is. I mean, you're talking about a team that's number 210 in the country in batting average. 210. That means there are, what, 135, 140 teams who didn't make the tournament. It's a better hitting team than Arkansas. It's actually unreal how bad the Razorbacks have been hitting as far as an average this year.
Mm-hmm.
268 as a team. I mean, we've talked about their struggles, their inability to change an approach. I just don't understand. I mean, you hear it from like the time you're a little kid watching baseball games. Coaches just screaming, "Do a job, do your job,
Mm-hmm.
move runners over, whatever it takes to do to keep the merry-go-round turning." And whether it's lay down a bunt, put a ball behind a runner on with a ground ball, whatever the case may be, they just refuse to be able to do it. And I don't know that you can change it once you've hit the postseason because that's not who they are. But I mean, this is a team, and we've known it for quite some time now, Blair, that's going to have to win with pitching.
Mm-hmm.
And their pitching, oh by the way, that same stats that you're talking about, they're really really good. There's a lot of number one
Yeah.
next to their stats. So as long as the pitching shows up, you feel pretty good. Obviously, Hagen Smith gives you a chance to win any game. But tomorrow, you and I both probably expect Hagen Smith not to pitch.
Mm-hmm.
Throw Will McIntyre or Gage Wood, whoever the case may be. Offense needs to go up and put 6 or 7 runs on the board. Take some pressure off of those arms.
Yeah, but that's going to be tough. SEMO hits the ball well. Everybody is coming into this regional, but Arkansas, having at least won six or more of their last 10 games. Arkansas, I think, 4-10. Dave not
Mm-hmm.
happy with the performance in Hoover. Um, Granted, it was a week ago, and baseball is a sport where a week is an eternity and things can change. But as you mentioned, the fact that they are not hitting,
Mm-mm.
that's not putting the ball in. I mean, they're not putting the ball in play. That'd be one thing, but they strike out a lot, take a lot of third strikes. They're not putting the ball in play, and that's what you got to do in the postseason. What kind of chance do you give Arkansas getting out of this regional?
Honestly, a really good chance because of the pitching that they're going to face. It has is not going to be as good as what they've seen all year in the SEC.
Mm-hmm.
So the stuff that they're going to see Friday, Saturday, Sunday, maybe even Monday is not going to be nearly what they see during the rest of the regular season. Because you look at the numbers. I mean, you're talking about runs against, walk percentage. Nobody's in the top 40 really as far as Louisiana Tech, Kansas State, and SEMO. So you think Arkansas is going to have a chance to put the ball in play? What really jumped out to me, and I don't like to dive way too deep in the numbers, but
Mm-hmm.
Arkansas strikes out less than 20% of the time at the plate, which really shocked me. I thought this
Wow.
was a team that probably struck out 30 to 40%, if not more.
Yes.
But I mean, they're top. I think they're number 154 in the country, so they're right in the middle of those. What 330, 340 teams are in Division One. 19.8% of the time they strike out, which is
Hmm.
oddly low, and what I thought they would be at.
Of course, that's a season-long number too,
Correct. Yeah.
and I don't think they were striking out a lot early in the season and late in the
Yeah.
season. Do well. I mean, SEMO's going to throw their ace, so you never know what
Mm-hmm.
happens. They are playing the early game. Dave likes playing the early game, and I can understand that. You eliminate some distractions, you get it out of the way, you get more rest, get ready for that. Hopefully, the second game on Saturday night. You do sacrifice a little bit of a crowd, but it's the NCAA tournament, and Bob Walker's not. I mean, it's a great venue, but the last couple of years, it's not quite the same as it has been in the past. We'll see. And weather's going to be an issue too. And I think the weather could more or less could be a major factor because rain's in the forecast all 3 days, I believe, last I checked. So that could change some things. So if things get pushed back, and that was another reason he likes to go early on Friday, is
Mm-hmm.
if that late Friday game gets pushed back to Saturday, then you're not having to play two games in one day.
Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense, and he's brought up the argument before. And this has been years since he said this, that he likes the extra rest on Saturday. Instead of having to play, Friday night and then turn around and play Saturday night, you get an extra 7 hours. But
Mm-hmm.
more importantly, if you lose the first game, you get a full day of rest instead of having to play
Yes.
Friday night and then turn around and play really early on Saturday. Not really early, but early on Saturday. So
Mm-hmm.
it creates that window. But ultimately, Arkansas fans are going to show up. There's still going to be 10,000 people there for the regional opener. If they play well, the crowd's going to be behind them. If they don't play well, whether it's a 2 o'clock first pitch or seven, the crowd's going to start to get a little antsy. And
Mm-hmm.
so I mean, really, I mean, you take the national spotlight too, because most teams don't want to play in the afternoon. And so the Hogs, a lot of times, will get that ESPN slot or the SEC network slot because they're
Mm-hmm.
really one of the only national seeds who are playing in that window.
Yeah, and it's all on SEC Plus or ESPN Plus, I
Hmm.
think, this weekend, which is a little surprising. But yeah, I mean, there is pressure of playing at home, so we'll see how they handle it, and it will be very interesting. So our next headline, overall, looking at the bracket, were there any surprises to you? It seemed like it was pretty much chalk, except there were some teams that maybe got in because their AD was on the committee, but
Florida,
I don't
Florida,
know.
we're looking at you.
Well, yeah, chomp chomp.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and claim to be an expert on college baseball 1 through 68 because that's kind of
Hmm.
what we're arguing here. But it is surprising when you see the team with the second most wins in college baseball not make the tournament,
Yeah,
and that's Lamar.
yeah,
I mean, that's a problem. And I get that they play in the Southland Conference, and they're the resume not be spectacular, the RPI and whatever the other numbers they pay attention to. They swept Oklahoma on the road.
hmm,
They took a
yeah,
3-game series in Norman, and they won 45 games this year, 45 or 46 games this year. That's saying something.
yeah,
When you win that many games and you've got three quality, I don't care if you could have beat me and you the other 42 games, but you beat Oklahoma 3 times on the road, who, oh,
yeah,
by the way, it's a top 10 seed.
yeah.
Like
Who's
you got to
hosting?
go ahead
Yeah,
and say, yeah, you got to go ahead and say, hey, well, let's go ahead and give you the nod. I mean, what's it going to hurt if you put Lamar in as a 4 seed, other than some number 1 seed is going to be really, really ticked off at you?
yeah. I mean, if I'm Lamar, it's like, man, what else have I got to do? I
Yeah,
mean, I schedule who will schedule me. I mean, yeah, I was shocked Florida got in.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, 11 SEC schools don't deserve to be in. Let's be real about it.
no,
They don't.
no,
11 teams from one conference. I mean, if you finish and somebody out of those 11 teams finished 11th, you finish 11th in your conference. I don't care if number 1 through 10 are all in the top 10 in the country. You don't deserve to be there.
no. What's the point of the regular season then?
Correct.
So, yeah, bizarre. All right. Our next
And
headline. Oh, sorry.
Georgia getting yeah, sorry, Georgia getting a top 8 seed and hosting, being a potential host of the Super Regional is a little surprising too.
Yeah, Wes Johnson, former Razorback pitching coach, head
Hmm.
coach there. Hey, we've got an Archie. It's going to be in Oklahoma City at the College World Series. Rosebud's Jolie Mitchell plays for
Yeah.
Spit, Texas, after
Uh-huh.
starting her career at Notre Dame. How cool is that to have
Yeah, and
somebody from Rosebud in the
yeah.
College World Series?
What's wild, if you would have asked me 3 weeks ago who Jolie Mitchell was, I probably would have not been able to tell you who she was.
Yeah,
But their coach submitted all her career records. If you go to the AAA record book, she owns almost every statistical category: hits,
yeah,
career average, slugging percentage, home runs, doubles, triples. She's got them all. Number one
yeah.
in the state history. It's
Oh,
amazing. Her
and
numbers were unreal.
she starts. I mean, she's a starter.
Yeah,
She had an
big time
impact
player.
in the Super Regional against A&M. I believe she is the player that when they played a state tournament. They had to play a state tournament game at Gary Hampton, and I
Hmm.
think she's the one that put a home run on the road, which is a
Wow.
shot. A shot.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking 380, 400 feet.
So I just did a quick search because I didn't know how many times. So if you go to the record book, she's in the top 10 of a statistical category in 36 different categories.
Jeez. Holy cow. How does a kid like that
Career,
get out of the state?
I have no idea. I mean, she went to Notre Dame, so obviously kudos for that,
Yeah.
chasing the dream of the career. 622 career batting average, and she hit 717 as a senior.
Oh, well, she's hitting 385 this year with 49
Yeah,
starts. I mean,
yeah, big time.
holy cow. So, we'll
Hmm.
can't root for the burnt orange, but I'd like to see her do
Yeah,
well. All right. Our next headline. Got to talk basketball. Cal is just killing it. It was announced
yeah.
today they're going to be in the Jimmy V Classic in Madison Square Garden against Michigan. I'm a little surprised Michigan's in, but I mean, people are. I mean, Razorback basketball is still like I mean, the baseball regional is going on, but man, basketball just keeps hovering right
Yeah.
there, almost equal. It's
This
amazing.
the stock is really high, and and Michigan, just for the geographic pull, is why they're
Hmm.
probably in that matchup. It's going to be early in the year. Arkansas likely going to be favored, and probably should that win that game. Of course, they got a new coaching staff coming in. Was it
Dusty
Dusty May
May.
from
Yep.
FAU
Yep.
coming in? So there's going to be some intrigue in that matchup. Obviously, two coaches taking over programs that are tradition rich. And May's been to a Final Four more recently than Cal has, so
Yeah.
you got to give them credit for that. But
Well,
yeah,
and
and Cal said he did kind of clean up the I only want 8 or 9 players. He did say, yeah, we're going to have 13 scholarship players, but these guys are going to have to earn their NIL money, which makes sense, and also
hmm,
which is the common sense thing to do. We knew that they weren't going to bring on 6 walk-ons. They're going
yeah.
to go out and get some players, likely some in-state players or some regional players who want to play for the Razorbacks and have a chance to earn playing time and maybe earn a little money on the side.
Yeah. Well, you've never heard anyone say about a Calipari roster, it's not talented. And it's doesn't
Right.
have a lot of talent.
Yeah.
And John L. Davis, who has portaled to Arkansas, will face from FAU, will face his former
Yeah.
coach in that. So they're going to play. They want to play a game in Dallas. He said he's working on a non-conference home and home series. The schedule's going to be amazing, and I don't think we'll have seen. I mean, we've seen bits and pieces. Plus, you've got OU and Texas coming into the league. I don't know that we'll see an Arkansas schedule as nationally prominent as maybe since the '90s.
No, I agree. And I think one thing that Cal is going to be able to bring in are some of those big name opponents that Arkansas hasn't scheduled in the past. Whether it's, and I'm not going to say they were afraid to or the other team
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to because they didn't have the brand recognition. And honestly, this is what I'm hoping. And when I saw that he's working on a home and home, I'm praying that this has happened. There's no reason Arkansas and Kansas shouldn't play on a regular basis.
Ooh, I like that.
Geographically, it makes way too much sense. And now they've played each other a ton of times. Whether it be in
Mm-hmm.
Chicago, St. Louis, whatever. I know they've played. So that's a matchup to me that needs to happen more times than not. Them and Oklahoma State should be on a constant rotation.
Nolan played Larry Brown's. I think Kansas was number one at the time of Barnhill. I don't know that Arkansas has ever played at Allen Fieldhouse. That would be a road trip, an automatic road trip
Yeah.
to go to. So,
Arkansas and Kansas have played 14 times in history.
okay,
They played in the tournament, of course, a couple years ago, 2023. Hadn't played since 2005, 2006.
okay.
And they have had played in Lawrence, Kansas in 1985.
Oh, so we did. So the Hogs did make a trip to Allen
Hmm.
Fieldhouse.
They played in the Elite
Sweet.
Eights, and this is all hogstats.com. Shout out to those
Yeah.
guys.
Yes.
Uh, 1991, they played in the Elite Eights.
Mm-hmm.
Kansas won that matchup. But the last two times, once was in Maui in 2005, and then a couple years ago in the NCAA tournament. Yeah, but
Yeah.
not a lot of trips to Fog Allen. There's
No.
no doubt.
Yeah. Not a lot on campus. It's usually been postseason. So, yeah,
Hmm.
this is going to be this is going to be fun for Razorback fans. So, speaking of basketball, lost the great Bill Walton. Is
Yeah.
one guy I wish I had met. I always wanted to meet. I'd hoped we were going to run into him in Maui, but he didn't get assigned the Maui Classic a couple years back. What was your thought on what's your prevailing thought on Bill Walton? What do you think of first and foremost?
Yeah, well, I mean, because I was too young to remember him as a player, and so I
Hmm.
remember him his ramblings as a broadcaster, and seeing some of the stories of current broadcasters, especially Patch,
Oh yes.
who he broadcast with, and some of his tweets about Bill Walton in the last week have been awesome. Just to read, have been really cool. My favorite one that he said was, he would sit there and text him about games that he's
Yeah.
calling. It's like, hey,
I
like,
saw
blah blah
that.
blah. It's like, too bad you're not getting a chance to watch this, but so and so needs to play better defense, and then all these things. It shows you kind of how genuine of a person and how he liked to have fun with it too, because he made games entertaining. Now sure, was he the best commentator? No,
No.
but he made games entertaining, and that's
Yes.
and that's really at the end of the day what you're supposed to be about when you're calling a game.
Oh yeah, and he had such a passion for the Pac-12, the
Yeah,
Conference of Champions, as he always referred to.
yeah,
I do remember one time watching a Hog game, and he started rambling about Northwest Arkansas and started talking about Beaver Lake and how great it was. And it's like how many people, broadcasters, even know about Beaver Lake? And here he is
Right.
talking about it. So it was pretty wild. So it was pretty cool. So we will miss Bill Walton just because he loved life and he had passion for it. All the basketball talk. Hey, football starts in 91 days. And
Yeah.
no one's noticing. How crazy is this, Bobby? I mean, we have
Uh,
covered Razorback football over the years. Normally, this time of year, people are chomping at the bit. Everybody's talking, focused on baseball,
hmm
basketball. Football is totally on the afterburner. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this.
That means they're dangerous, right? They're going to creep up on you. Probably not.
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because like even some kickoff times for like the first couple games were announced today,
Yeah.
and like nobody cares. Like 11
No.
a.m. kickoff in Stillwater in week 2, like nobody cares.
Yeah.
What it kind of was, I did kind of this kind of part of it. The SEC announced 2 Black Friday games today, and neither one of them is Arkansas, Missouri. So I wonder if
Mm,
that one's getting the old boot uh, to to
literally.
back to Saturday because it's going to be yeah Georgia Tech is going to be on Black Friday,
Oh, God.
and also um,
Talk
what's
about
it?
a
Oh,
beat
Texas.
down.
I think it's Texas. Texas A&M is now going to be on a Friday instead of being playing on Thanksgiving.
Ooh, that's interesting. I figured
hmm
that they would
It was
move
either
that
that one or
one.
the Egg Bowl.
Well, the Egg
Yeah,
Bowl's
it's one of
always
those
on
games.
Thanksgiving, but yeah,
Yeah.
because A&M in Texas used to also play on Thanksgiving, so you would like work the clicker really good, when one went to the other. But okay, I can see A&M and Texas going to the Black Friday, but Georgia Tech and Georgia has not even been compelling for ever,
Ever,
has it?
ever. Yeah. No. Yeah,
Wow.
so it's yeah, so it was the Egg Bowl. So Mississippi State,
Okay.
Ole Miss. So not Texas, Texas A&M. So you got Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, both going to be on November 29th.
Okay.
Then Oklahoma State's going to take up a time slot on that day as well. They're playing Colorado, which is kind of an
Mm.
odd matchup for that. But
Well, Big 12.
yeah, I know it's back to being a conference game, but it's you don't
Yeah.
really think of that one being a rivalry to close the year. Why it's not OU, OSU, and oh, that's why because OU's in the
Yeah.
SEC, like they shouldn't be. Makes no
Yeah.
sense.
Well, and Dion um, might
Yeah,
might be in bold
his last game
consideration. Yeah,
or his
well,
last game
that
before he gets
too.
fired.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
will he still be a ratings draw, and will Gundy have a rant or something? So, yeah,
yeah.
so it'll be interesting. But
Hot
yeah,
take. I think
go
he may
ahead.
be fired by that point. Honestly, I could see them winning
Really,
3 games this year. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be very good. They had
Dion or
0
Gundy
players
or
drafted.
both?
No, I think Oklahoma State's going to be fine.
Okay,
Oklahoma State may be the best team in the Big 12 this year, just because by
yeah,
default somebody's got to be. No, I
yes,
think Colorado. They put 0 guys in the NFL this year. Didn't develop a single one of those. All those transfers they got, not a single one of them get drafted. Yeah, I think we're going to see what a fraud that whole thing has been. He
yeah,
doesn't develop players. Always care about himself, his son, his sons, and Travis Hunter. Those guys are going to get drafted probably pretty high, and then the rest of the team's going to be left high and dry.
yeah. And he said he's in it for the duration, but a lot of people think he will probably take some kind of NFL position or some said coordinator, but I just don't see that because I don't. He's never called anything. But I could see him
Yep.
being a DB coach for some NFL team. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
so the
don't know.
game time's announced today. All anybody's talking about in the group text I've been is, hey, we're playing Michigan in the Jimmy V Classic. So
Right.
is football now? It's almost well, it wasn't quite that way in the '90s, but football can just their mission now is just hold our attention until Midnight Madness.
Probably.
Wow.
Yeah.
No pressure
I
now.
mean, yeah. I mean, there's not much pressure, and I mean, let's be real. If they go 4-8 or 6-6, nobody's going to care
Yeah.
because that's the expectation now is them to go 4-8. Even as soft as the schedule is this year, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Now, if all of a sudden they go 8-4, the interest is going to perk up a little bit, and then people will start to talk about them. Obviously, as they start winning games throughout the season, getting the OSU game at 11 a.m. Yeah, that's a game that they really need to win. To be quite honest,
Mm-hmm.
both of them. But if they can find a way to win that game, you're looking at 3-0 before you start league play. You got UAB and what Pine Bluff in the season opener. I feel like
Yeah.
so. But if you find a way to get to 3-0 and you beat Oklahoma State, maybe you move the needle and fans start to chirp about you a little bit.
Yeah, that Oklahoma State game is huge because that's
Yeah,
really going to kind of set the tone. I mean, UAPB for an opener is just so
and
anti,
Little Rock on top of that.
yeah, anticlimactic. So, I mean,
So,
I
and
don't
that's
know.
also the tough thing about this schedule. And so, by the time that they play in Fayetteville, you may be completely out on the team because if they go to Oklahoma State and get thumped, which is
Yeah.
possible,
Hmm.
most people are going to have given up on the season before they even play a game in their own home stadium.
Well, and then you're playing UAB game 3 in Fayetteville, and
Hmm.
I mean, they've got a lot of guys coming back. Dilfer's done a nice job there. I mean, and
Yeah,
then you've
three
got,
o'clock kickoff, and it's going to be 119 degrees. Yeah, it's
hey,
going to be
it's
fun.
family weekend though, so we
Yeah,
got that going for us.
you can pass out Santa next to your dad for heat exhaustion. How cool is that?
Yeah, jeez, unbelievable. Um, all right, so that's our, and we'll dive into we'll break down the football schedule here in the coming weeks as things kind of cool off because it's gonna be. I mean, you look at it, man. I don't know where all these wins are gonna come from, other than
Yeah,
UAPB.
I agree with you.
Ugh, tough. All right, movie time. Or the SEC game times announced today. I mean,
Pulled the trigger on that one. Sorry.
yeah, I screwed that up,
Yeah,
didn't I? No, 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 you're fine.
yeah.
Um, I feel like they're trying to be like the NFL, but some fan bases I could see, but in Arkansas, it's not really too exciting, is it?
No, it's not because I mean, again, there are things to worry about. Like Texas A&M probably sent out a tweet today, and then Needle's probably not moving much for them either because their fan base is jazzed about the baseball season and the
Yeah.
postseason. So I get what they're trying to do. They're trying to create some excitement. I know they've got the meetings going on right now, but
Mm-hmm.
baseball in the SEC has become so big and so important. I don't know why you would choose this week to announce it when you've got 11 teams now in the postseason and next year it's going to be 13 teams because of OU and Texas joining. I don't know why you choose this week of all weeks to kind of try to cover up the hype that is going to be your college baseball teams.
Yeah, well, it's the spring meetings. It's not even spring. Yeah, I don't know why you
Yeah.
can't wait until later, but who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows why they do what they do? Hey, hit us up on email, hpmmpodcast at gmail. Hit us up on Twitter. Hey, let me show you that Les, my umpire mentor, wanted me
Oh,
to show you. Look at this thing. You got to tighten up your chest protector because otherwise it slides down and you take a pitch off the elbow. And that was
don't they
from
know that?
Saturday. And this is
Oh,
Thursday as we're taping this.
don't they know that your television umpire personality, Blair
No,
Cartwright,
no,
that
no,
called
no.
the first game in the state championship, and
No,
that's how
no.
they treat you?
No. Well, I was, I mean, it happened. I go flying. Thankfully, I didn't, as far as I know, scream a bunch of profanities. But I let my, I had not adjusted my chest protector in 5 years probably since I had it. So it was sagging down and just took a direct hit. And oh my God, that hurt. Oh,
I bet. I bet
so
you've now adjusted the chest protector, right?
3 times.
Right, boy. You're
Yeah.
coachable. If anything,
Ah,
the more,
I've got to
more you
learn
want, shame
some.
on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things do slip. Final word.
Adjust your